Welcome. Come on in. Find a seat, soldiers. So I'll preface this now. If you don't want to be spoiled on anything, then please get on out of here. And with that out of the way, let's get started with the debriefing of the game Little Misfortune. So it was a nice, creepy, but short little M-rated indie game that became available to all platforms on May 29th, 2020. And it takes roughly about three, 5 hours, give or take. Hey, to beat it, it was also made by a little indie Swedish company called Kill Monday Games. It was founded in late 2012 by the married duo, and pardon if I mispronounce pronounce any names, specifically last name, mm, Natalia uh, Markinson and Isaac Markinson. And their studio uh, uh, were also the ones that made the game Frambo, in which that game and our current subject, Little Misfortune, do inhabit the same shared universe. So I will make reference to Frambo, but I won't actually be comparing the two games. And remember, when I do any of these debriefings, there are four main criteria I look at when judging it, which is visual graphics, audio/soundtrack, story, and the gameplay. And each of these criteria start out at a 5 out of 10, but it can go up or down and due to various conditions I will go over as we hit each section. At the end, I will give my final thoughts and the average total of the score of the game. Now, let's get on with this shit show. And it's only appropriate to start with the first criteria mentioned, visual/graphics. First condition we'll go over is just how unique the designs are. So, like I said earlier, you know, I will make reference to the game Frambo. This is one of those moments, which makes sense given the fact both are made by the same company, but overall, they have slightly unique designs to differentiate the two. And any other game I've really played. The next condition is being able to tell what and where things are, which, besides missing two things, a doll, which I noticed a tad bit too late, and a drawing, which I just overlooked, uh, which both aren't majorly important things. Everything was pretty easily identifiable. The final condition that can raise its score is how good it looks. All of its art fits the style they were going for. That creepy style, that kind of like hand drawn look to it. I loved it. It, it fit, and it all looked really good. Nothing seemed out off or out of the ordinary that wasn't supposed to. uh, Onto the final condition that could have, but didn't affect the score this time, is the amount of visual bugs, which again there were none. Overall, the criteria for the visuals and graphics is a solid 9.5 out of 10. The next criteria on the docket is the audio/soundtrack. The first condition in this area is if it had any voice acting in it, and how good was it. So it did have pretty good voice acting, despite it only having four speaking characters, half of which were minor characters that said one or two things. The other two were the two main characters. I personally wish that there was some more voice acting, especially since the writing was good. The next condition is the quality of appropriate audio cues, which it seemed like all the cues were good. They had great timing. Like at the carnival, well, the machine gun shot apart the game stall.
This out now with real bullets. 粉丝 I think I broke the game.
It looks like it.
Oh,
And whenever Misfortune ripped ass, it sounded bad in a good way, if that makes sense.
time to use my ninja skills. Shh, little butt crack. Be quiet. This is a ninja mission.
And it all went off at the correct times. Now, the quality of the soundtrack is the next condition, in which all the music in the game hit all the right story beats. Not to mention, there are quite a few of the tracks that are just real bangers. They had me just banging out. Now, on to the final condition that could have, but didn't affect the score this time, is the amount of audiobooks, on which there were none. Overall, the criteria for visuals and graphics is a solid 9 out of 10. Continuing down the list, the next criteria is the story. This time, I will be starting this criteria with the first and second conditions, which are how engaging the story is and how unique the story is. I actually found this quite unique and engaging with the two endings, and given the fact that mm, just about every action you do has consequences. Not to mention, I have not played a game before that touched on how an innocent child might view an abusive household to which they were never wanted in such a way. My only critique is that eh, you can't get a game over besides reaching one of the two endings. So in other words, there isn't much in the way of actual stakes. You can't even force a game over. Hmm. The next condition we're going over is the quality of the world building. This is is another time I will be making reference to Frambo, since they have a shared universe known as the Ultra Reality, consisting of the five realms, which together constitute free five realms of essential existence. Now, in Little Misfortune, they go on and expand on the lore by adding an additional realm from which the antagonist Mogo, who is from called the Beyond. My only two questions I have that they never explained mm, is why is everyone wearing masks? And how does Mogo pick his targets? Now, if they did explain these and I just didn't catch it, then please do tell me in the comments. I would love to know. Mm. Now, the final condition in this area is the ease of knowing what to do and where to go. I personally found it a tad hand-holdy, but it did give me enough freedom for the most part in most areas to explore and find things. Just make sure you've done everything in an area before moving on, or else you'll miss things like I did with the doll and drawing. And since you can't go back to previous areas that you should logically be able to go back to. Mm. So overall, I'll give the story criteria an 8.5 out of 10. Now, on to the final criteria, which is the gameplay. The first condition here is how engaging is the gameplay? And in that regard, besides the few mini games it had, the only thing that made the gameplay engaging was the fact that your choice between option A, option B might have consequences, which for a puzzle game was really lackluster. The next condition is how unique the gameplay is. There are a ton of games that give you choices on how to handle situations that might have consequences to those choices. But the difference between those other games and this one is that they do it better by giving you way more options on handling such situations. So besides choosing between two options, there was absolutely nothing to make the gameplay stand out from other games. Moving on to the next condition is how good is the UI? And the only thing I really had to say about it is that whenever a prompt is displayed, it looks good, it responds well, which, if you ask me, is just the bare minimum for a UI. Next thing in this area is if I need to adjust the difficulty. My biggest complaint i- on the difficulty is, like I said earlier, the fact that there isn't really anything at stake. Because again, I couldn't even force a game over. Given the fact that it mostly focuses on the story, I can understand the lack of challenge. Now, on to the final condition that also could have, but didn't affect the score this time. The amount of bugs, on which, again, there were none of that I knew of. Overall, the criteria for gameplay is a pitiful 2 out of 10. Now, to wrap up this debriefing, overall, I enjoyed Little Misfortune. It had great visuals, a banging ass fucking soundtrack, and a phenomenal story. Right? But its gameplay left a lot to be desired from. With that said, I would definitely recommend playing this if you want to play a nice, chill, short, couple hour long game. All in all, I would give Little Misfortune a 7.25 out of 10 in medals. Now, with all that said and done, soldiers, you're dismissed. I would like to thank all y'all for watching this shit show. Like what you saw, then you're more than welcome to hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, you can follow me on my Twitch channel to stay up to date whenever I go live or posting the new content. Hit those bell icons, join my Discord, and follow me on my X/Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm also sponsored by W Energy, which is a powdered energy drink company that doesn't leave you with any crashes or jitters. And let's not forget that it tastes good too. Here, if you'd like to save 10% off on your order, you can use my code KCMing10 at checkout. Save 10% off. Well, all the links will be in my link tree in the description. And finally, since I'm new to posting on here, if you want to give me any tips, be very much appreciated. With all that said, with much love to you, I hope to catch y'all later. Bye.